Hello, everyone. Tiffany Carole here, and I'm together with Rakai'el Webb for our second dialogue in something that we're calling Metamorphosis. And I could not be more thrilled about today because the topics are so rich, so pertinent, so timely, so like the things that people really want to hear because it's, as you said in a message to me that I was listening to today, no one's really interested in perfection anymore. The messy middle is very interesting, but the way that we're actually going to be speaking about that, and from both from our own experience and also a high level, when I say high level, I mean an astrological lens and a mythic lens. It's um it's true to the messy, but without getting lost in the density of it. And that's particularly what I love about us coming together, Raquel, you and I.
Mhm.
So if you missed the first one, you might like to check it out. There's no need to jump right in right now, but we need to hit go live on Instagram. I just remembered that. I'm going to hit that right now.
Mine is not talking about the messy middle. Mine is not showing up. It's not activating.
Sometimes it doesn't activate, but it still goes live.
Oh,
And if it doesn't, it's going live on mine right now, so I can send it over to you. Do you want to
okay.
try anything again? How do you feel?
Um, Last time it just appeared.
Mm.
It just like the link for go live on Instagram just became active.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to refresh the page, but maybe I should. What do you think?
Mm. I'm not sure.
Okay, so give us just a second.
Yeah,
See.
I will.
Mercury is also in his shadow.
I did hear that.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just try and get this hooked up here.
Hmm.
And
As you're doing that, I'll share a little bit about you actually. So, Rakai'el and I met probably I know we estimated it last time, but a while ago, 15 or so years ago. And she also has a background in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and we both have a similar trajectory of branching out from there and sort of reincarnating ourselves multiple times in the professional sphere. And something that came up in the last dialogue together was that you and I have both transformed in public, meaning we we didn't do it in hiding. We were actually morphing and sharing it and releasing our creations that were connected to our very own transformation in real time. How's it going with the Instagram?
it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't look like I just reconnected it all.
Okay.
So
Let's see
just
what
have,
happens.
yeah,
Okay.
just trust.
No matter what, I'll mark you as collaborator and you'll have it on your page when we're done.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, there's so many nuggets for today. And I'm going to actually just give a little word, like a word salad of some of the words that I pulled out of our back and forth. Chiron, Uranus
That's the
opposition,
main word.
messy middle, unleash voices, storytelling, the alchemy of it, how this connects to life as a mythic art and ritual theater. So perhaps for those that aren't as familiar with the astrological terrain of right now and also of what connects to what you're calling midlife, would you lay down some context and we'll take it
Yeah,
from there?
yeah. So when we go into our 40s, we start going through different astrological initiations that kind of build up to the two different crescendos. And so when we enter into our 40s, we start going through it can be different in different arrangements, but we go through our Pluto square Pluto and Neptune square Neptune. So Pluto is all about transformation, death, and rebirth. So this is kind of like the pre-game to the Uranus opposition, which is the classically known astrological midlife crisis.
Mm.
Um, but Pluto square Pluto is kind of like preparing us for that, where it's like, okay, where are you giving away your power? And those things have to die, they have to crumble so that you can be reborn. And then you have Neptune square Neptune. And so Neptune dissolves everything it touches. And so there's this kind of dissolution. And so you can see the butterfly metaphor already starting, where it's like, okay, where am I giving my power away? Now I'm going to have to confront those places, and there's going to be a tower moment in my life somewhere. And then it all starts dissolving. And then you go into the Uranus opposition, and Uranus is the great awakener. And so this is a lot of times where there's this, this is the symptoms that we, for women, equate with perimenopause. Men also go through all of this as well, but for women, because there's also the biological shifts that happen with perimenopause, it can be a bigger experience, or the spiritual awakening that Uranus really offers us can be missed because they just think it's perimenopause. Or they think it's their husband or their wife. It's like they think it's their relationship that needs to change. They think it's their job that needs to change. They think it's where they live that needs to change. And maybe all those things are true, but there is also something deeper within us that is being unlocked and released. It's actually Kundalini energy that is unlocked in the Uranus opposition. It rushes up and floods the entire system with life force energy, which is designed to give us life force for the second half of life. But if it's blocked anywhere, then we experience anxiety, discomfort. All of the symptoms that we know from perimenopause are actually also symptoms of the Uranus opposition. So there's a great awakening that's happening in our bodies. It's trying to liberate us from the old life, from the old ways, because what happens is that we've built, since Saturn returned when we turned 30, we've been in a process for 15 years or so of building, of creating. We've gotten, maybe you had a family, maybe you got married, like you've been, building in your job, like all of these things. But somewhere along the line, what felt like it was a foundation, what felt like it was giving you potential and possibility, suddenly becomes a cage.
Mm.
And then there's a place where it's like, oh, this isn't working anymore. And so, for me, it's like that was all of these different ways of doing business, and then, trying on different ways of doing business. And so, since it's like I don't have children and I'm not married, it's like my confrontation is my business.
Mhm.
So,
That's true, isn't it?
yeah. So, and then after that, we have a little bit of that. So the Uranus opposition happens in the mid 40s. And then we have a little bit of a breather where we have a our second Jupiter return. But then we come to 50, and 50 is the Chiron return. And so Chiron return. And so every woman who has Chiron in Taurus, born from 1976 through 1984, probably has Chiron in Taurus. There's some edging out on the sides of Chiron in Aries or Chiron in Gemini, but there's this whole soul group of women who are here to unlock their voices. They're here to liberate their voices because Taurus rules the throat. And so we're about to see this massive wave over the next 8 years of, and it's not just women, because men also have divine feminine inside, but there's this place where the throat has been blocked and our voices and our creative self-expression has been held back. And so Chiron is here to help us heal all of that. So it's really about, so many women are about to start unleashing their voices right now.
Share with everybody what you told me about the post that you did and how it had 70,000 views and
Yeah. So I made this post about Chiron and Taurus, astrological post. Here's what's happening. Here's what's going on. And if you've got Chiron and Taurus, this is what it means for you. And it's just blown up, where it was like, 70,000 views. I think it's 1.3 thousand comments, and it's all of these women being like, "Oh my God, this is me." You know, I have
Mhm.
Chiron in Taurus, or they're like, "I just went through this," or they're like,
Mm,
"Oh my gosh, like, this is coming for me." And
mm,
what does it mean? What does it mean to have Chiron? So Chiron, just as a note too, Chiron is most oftenly known as the wounded healer. I also always like to say he was also a master teacher.
mm,
And so part of how we heal our woundings is by telling the stories
mm,
or by teaching from those places where we were wounded. So
mm,
wherever you have Chiron in your chart, it's not personal for you, right? The sign that you have Chiron in, because Chiron takes about 8 years. On the other side of the zodiac, it could be 2 years, but in general, it's around in for now, it's in 8 years to go through a sign. So
mm,
you're part of an entire soul group that is here to heal the qualities of that sign. And so Chiron and Taurus being about our values, what's important to us, how we communicate about those values, connection to beauty and love and money, like all self confidence, all those things are up for being healed for all of us right now. And for the group of women and men who have Chiron and Taurus, that is an emphasis for them, but they're not doing it alone. Like that's the most important thing to remember about the sign that
mm,
Chiron is in is that you're not doing it alone. You're part of this whole group that's doing that work. But wherever you have the house, that is where your woundings will come up. And that's where you will be confronted with challenges and difficulties and suffering and victimization and all of that. But that's also where you will do the deepest alchemical work, where that poison will be transmuted into medicine.
mm,
And so that will be wherever the house where you have Chiron is where you are meant to let your magic out. You are meant to shine your light. You are meant to share those gifts that come from those deepest challenges of all the things of overcoming your self-confidence and your values and communicating about all of that and everything. And so um, it's a really, really powerful time.
I can, of course, relate to all those things. And I was born in 1975, February. So I don't know if Chiron's in Taurus for me, but I
Probably an
know probably what in Aries.
Aries. Yeah.
Okay, and Aries is my moon too. But what I know is that I had last year and part of the previous year were really hard, really, really hard. And I I went through a lot of the thought pathways that I think are normal because of conditioning, which was like, and I said this in the last, but I want to say it again because it's noteworthy. Is I got pregnant with Kiara at 48, had her at, I guess I did have her at the end of my 48th year. I'm 51 now. She's 2.5. And so I was also going through this whole sort of maiden experience when as I was in perimenopause, and now I'm entering into menopause. And so I my nature, because I'm so curious about this human experience, it was just the most fabulous ground for sort of studying experience, unique experience. And I will say that the challenges when I was in them, I was like, oh God, it's my hormones. I need to get hormone pellets. And I'm not saying that couldn't help, but to default to that, to tug on something that you mentioned, to default to that as the explanation and stop there, it doesn't actually give one the opportunity to really be with the experience in a way that is fertile, in a way that gives back to you and keeps giving back to you and keeps giving back to you. And I have, ever since I've been teaching, I've always included storytelling in my teaching, and I'm generally telling stories about what's happening now. And I do sense like I'm I don't generally tell the stories when I'm still tangled up in them. I wait till I have some measure of perspective. But I tell them, and I over the years, many people have disagreed with that way of being and that style because they think it's inappropriate. But the truth is, I wouldn't be in integrity with myself if I did it another way, any other way, because everything that I teach, the whole teaching is in the story. It's in the stories. And if I'm not actually sharing what's going on with me, and I can feel it now more than ever, there's a way in which what's the way it wants to be talked about? I am profoundly aware that my power, my real power as a human conduit, as a human standing between heaven and earth, comes out to the degree that I'm allowing the energy to move down, up and out. And if I'm hiding certain parts of my experience because I don't feel that they're acceptable, I actually am not able to do my highest level work. I'm not able to.
I mean, like, that right there is like, oh, like if you are doing any kind of empowerment work where you're empowering other people or you're teaching them or you're wanting to make their life better,
Mm,
and you are in any space, and but we all are to some degree,
yes.
but if you're in any space of like lack of self-acceptance, that and you're intentionally, because it's like, okay, I don't want to tell that story because that's inappropriate, or that, like, uh, is unprofessional.
Mm,
uh, I mean, this goes back to the old paradigm of like, don't let them see you don't let them see you falter, right? That
mm,
it's like, you
mm,
have to put on a strong face. You have to show that you're in control, that
mm,
you know that you're calm, and that you're a competent leader. And like, that is such an old paradigm
mm,
where it's like, you're not allowed to be human. Like, that's the paradigm of the king is God.
mm,
And so
mm,
God can't have emotions. God can't have struggles,
mm,
because, and like, but the king is actually not God, It's like, but like, it's also like, God would want you to be whole and complete of all
mm,
that you are. And so it's like, to allow ourselves to be imperfect, honestly, I think is one of the deepest services that we can do to
mhm,
the people, for the
mhm,
people
mhm,
that we're trying to help or to lead or to teach or to guide in any kind of way,
mhm,
is to role model that, like, yeah, I don't have my shit together. And,
mhm.
I'm not, something happened on the thing and I'm not actually live streaming, and I told the people that I would be live streaming, and it's like, whatever. We're here and we're human and we're doing the best that we can, and it's all good. And so role modeling the lack of perfection and
Mm,
letting people know that you as a leader are imperfect and that you don't have it all together. And then the transmission, it's like, whatever you're teaching is great, but it's also like they get to witness and receive the transmission of this
mhm.
as someone who isn't perfect and is still able to show up and be of service.
Yes, 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 yes. And it dissolves the fallacy that that it does at the core, it dissolves the fallacy that creates othering in any capacity, because it's like, oh, she has it figured out, she has the money, she has nice clothes, or he, whatever the thing is, we can say, oh, because of that they're able to do that, whatever they're doing. But when actually we just be ourselves, and I know I said this on our last live, but I can't not show up and create, because if I don't, I forget who I really am. And
Mm,
I discover who I am when I do things like this. This is why I talk a lot about speaking and creating from the edge of emergence, because at the very edge your ego doesn't have the hold like it has when you're teaching something that you know and that you want everybody to approve of, and I suppose that way has its particular place and within certain contexts, but it's so not interesting to me anymore. It's just so boring. So I'd love to lean in a little bit right now to just a little bit more into storytelling and what this is looking like for you right now. And I want to share a little bit about that in my life right now as well. And you use this phrase ritual theater, which I think is worth expanding upon.
Yeah. So ritual theater is a practice that's been done for many, many centuries across cultures, where it's that the community comes together and whatever kind of drama or like relational dynamics or whatever is happening, they put on costumes and they act it out.
Mm.
And so it's a way of taking these things that are, perhaps like maybe there's, a feud between families, or maybe there's a famine and everyone is scared, or perhaps there's something happening with, particular group within the village or something where there's some kind of drama. Um, but it's, putting on the costumes and like acting it out and like, but what happens in that process is that you take these things that are, oh, they're bad things and we shouldn't talk about them, or we don't, this idea of I don't want to energize that by talking about it or speaking about it, it just flips it on its head. And it's
Mm.
like, no, we're gonna get everyone. There's this story that you're ashamed of.
Mm.
And now, instead of trying to hide it, we're actually going to get everyone involved and we're going to dress up and we're all going to act it out. And so it really is this transmutation process of taking something that is shameful and scary and hiding it into
Mm.
putting it on the altar in front of everyone and asking everyone to
Whew.
pray about it with you. And so in our modern times, like
Mm.
there are people who are doing ritual theater as an act for the community. My teacher, Isis Indria, being one of them. Um, but in our own lives, how can we do that? And
Mm.
so this is where I feel like the work of Brene Brown is, talking about shame and storytelling is so profound. Um, and so, but taking those, and even to what you were saying about when you're in the middle of something, like waiting until you get to kind of a sense of some kind of perspective on it.
Mm.
Yes. And I also think that there's something really profound when we're in the middle of some place where we feel kind of lost
Mm.
and we feel uncertain and there's no nugget yet. There's no
Mm.
nugget of golden truth that we've pulled out that can be of service. We're just in the mire. We're in the muck of it. I actually think that this is so much of, I spent 5 years teaching women about how to uh, post on the internet, about how to, the energetics of Instagram and Insta prosperity. And so many women were like, I don't know what to post. I feel like I don't have any like golden nugget to share. And I don't know, I feel stuck. And I'm like, that is the post.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
the
Mm.
Instagram post. It doesn't matter, take a picture of a crystal, take a picture of your plant, your dog, whatever. It just have something to put up there and then say, I've spent 30 minutes sitting here staring at my phone, not knowing what to post. And I feel so stuck. It's like naming it, externalizing it, getting it out of you. Like this is the part
Mm.
of storytelling where it's like we have all of these ideas about perfection and like what a teacher or a leader or I don't even know, like an inspiring woman looks like or does. But it's like all of us go through these messy places, and to make that normal, to normalize that,
Mm.
um, it helps to move the energy, because just like in the ritual theater, it's not this thing that you're trying to hide. It's now, on the altar in front of everyone with all of these kind of flowers and people dressing up and like acting it all out. And so it's like there's this idea, especially in the spiritual community, that it's like, I don't want to talk about this because then it'll make it bigger. This
Mm,
uncomfort or this uncertainty or whatever. I want to put on the positive face. And it's like,
mm,
actually tell the story of the
mm,
discomfort, tell the
mm,
story of being in the process of that. Um, so yeah, so for me, it
mm,
was like, coming out of the Uranus up. I didn't do that.
mm,
So I went away from my own teachings where it was like, when I was in I tried to be like, "Oh, no, everything is okay." Like, when I was in the, like, deepest part of the Uranus opposition with all of this anxiety and, like, these lightning flashes inside my skin waking me up and, really
mm,
intense fear, it was like I was afraid of the dark, it would start to get the sun would set, and even with all the lights on, I would feel scared and I would feel anxious. Um, but I tried to not talk about it because it was like, people think I'm this successful woman and they don't expect this thing from me. But then
mm,
as soon as I just made one story and I just said, I've been dealing with a lot of really intense anxiety from my Uranus opposition, and so trying to be out in the sun as much as possible has been helpful. It unlocked this huge deluge
mm, mm,
of energy within me that I wasn't holding that inside as this dirty little secret anymore.
mm,
It also opened up conversations in my direct messages, conversations in the replies to the stories where so many other women were like, "It's me too. I've
mm,
also been through that." And then I got recommendations for different supplements to take. I, like, had the story of, like, it gets better on the other side, and there's a lot of resilience that comes on the other side, and it was just like, it was the healing I didn't know I needed, was to finally
mm,
let that wall down and to be vulnerable and to name the insecurity, to name the anxiety, to name the discomfort, and
mm.
that was part of the healing.
Yeah, to emphasize that this point is that the generally the automatic response, especially for people that are spiritually minded or interested in transformation, is kind of get on top of it first, and then you can say something. And I do want to put in a little, like, in brackets right here. I think however anyone navigates with this is brilliant because you're doing it your way. And what I am just showered with every single day now is this uh, like overwhelming knowing that everything is for me. Everything is for me. Everything is for me. And now I don't just know that for me, I know it for other people. Everything is for them, and not in a light way that's not acknowledging people's hardships or suffering, but I just know it in my bones because I know it for me. But it took 51 years to know it at this level. And I was going to make a point about that, but um, getting on top of it, that when you dare to show up and share, especially when it's something social media wise, which is a whole other level that you have more experience in than me, actually. I, the alchemy or the transmutative medicine is in that. So, in other words, we feel like we need to wait until it resolves in order to share. And what we're saying is no, in the sharing, the resolution comes.
100%.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you can, I talked to you a little bit about this yesterday, but it's like, and I was actually talking about it in a class yesterday too. It's like, you could write in your journal, like you could write, like, I'm having the most difficult time. Like, these are the challenges. Like, I don't know what to do. And I feel scared. I feel lost. You can write all of that in your journal or even say it to your therapist, Um, but when you take that same thing and you dare You dare to write it on Instagram. You dare to make a post about, "I'm so scared. I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel so unsure about what's happening in my life." Like, that,
Mm,
it's like, and not everybody can do that right away. I mean, like, that's
mm,
definitely a muscle that you have to grow.
mm,
But when, even in the positive way, when it's like, this is what I'm, even for me, so what I've been doing with this post that's gone viral is that I've been welcoming everyone. I'm like, "Thank you so much, the 900 new Instagram followers that are here,"
so
It's
cool.
like, yeah, and posting screenshots of the views, and also, but there's a part of me that's like, "Don't do that, you're being cocky." Like,
Mm,
you're rubbing it in people's faces. You're being boastful. You're
mm,
being arrogant, like all of that stuff. But it's also like, if we don't if we don't celebrate it, then
yeah,
it's like it also goes undernourished. And so there are
yeah,
all of these places on both sides of the extremes that need to be nourished, right? We need
mm,
to nourish the celebrations, but we also need to nourish the parts of us that feel uncertain, that feel scared, because if they
mhm.
don't get food, then they just are in
Go
the
back into
corner
hiding.
way, right? And they're
Mm,
starving. So they're like
mm,
gnawing at us.
mm,
Um, and so you take a post, whether it's the extreme of like, I don't know what's going on and I feel anxious, I'm experiencing intense anxiety, I feel a lot of uncertainty, or there's all of these really good things that are happening in my life. But when you
mm,
post either of those things feel edgy. Like,
that's true.
I shouldn't share that. But when you share that, and you walk around, because you can write the same thing in your journal, or you could say the same thing to your therapist in private or to a friend in private, but when you make it a post and you walk around with your phone in your pocket or sitting on your desk that whole day, knowing, even if nobody likes it, even if nobody sees it, even if nobody comments on it, there is the potential
Mm,
for thousands of people to see that part of you. And
mhm,
so we have this experience of being vulnerable, of
mm,
being seen in a way. It causes this internal alchemy to happen. It literally causes your cells to rearrange. And
mm,
it's not, it's something that you can't get. This is why I feel like it's such a, yes, Instagram has its difficulties and
mm,
challenges and all of those things that go with it. And when used correctly, it can be one of the most powerful tools for
mm.
personal alchemization of our woundings and of our gifts and celebrations.
I
So
couldn't agree
it's,
more.
yeah, an underutilized tool in that kind of way.
You know, let's see, it's, let me go. Yeah, I had somebody that managed my social media for a while. I would be generally she would take my. In fact, it's someone who heard about you, I think, through me, through our connection, and she took various courses with you around social media that she loved. But she was working on my social media for quite a while, and as I shared with you, just in this last month, I actually let go of my whole team. There were some pretty extraordinary circumstances with money and with finances, and it was because I wouldn't it was just perfect. Actually, the universe kind of squeezed me into it because I all I could see was that if I did that, it was a failure. It was, or that I was somehow sabotaging myself and I didn't quite know it. And it just came down to like, actually, I can't continue with this anymore. And so I let go of my team. And as I made the decision and let everybody go, all this space opened up because I didn't realize how much I kept myself sort of revving to keep everything going, but in a way that wasn't actually correct for me anymore. It wasn't actually the level of rev. And who knows what the future will hold, but I wouldn't have been able to see that or know that had I not released it. But Monica, who is beautifully tending to my social media, she also is not tending to my social media. So I go in little flurries and post more things sometimes and less things sometimes. And I don't so much worry about looking at views or anything else. I just let it go when I feel inspired. I just put it in there because for me, anything else doesn't really work because then I feel like I'm trying to push myself to do something that I don't really want to do. And I don't know if this is part of the Chiron return or coming out, but I am like a rebel now. I mean, if if I don't want to do something, I am not going to fucking do it. I don't want to do it. And I'm embracing that so wholeheartedly now in a way that I just never had the capacity to do before. And even celebrating the rebellious nature and even some things that I'm doing right now that I wouldn't normally do that are quite rebellious in nature. I'm doing them and I'm savoring that it feels like my inner teenager just kicking ass. It's doing something in me. I told Rory recently, my husband Rory, I won't go into the details about the story, but there were some things that I was doing that he wasn't in agreement with. And I just said, look, all I know is that this right now, it's doing something for me and I'm going to do it until I don't do it. I'm not going to do it forever, but this is what's happening right now. And in saying that to him and not holding it in a way that was like, shame on you, Tiffany. I'm just going to actually say what it is because it'll actually feel good to say what it is. Smoking cigarettes, beautiful hand rolled cigarettes. And I started with them about probably 5 weeks ago here in Italy, and I was hiding it from Rory, smoking a couple day, hiding it from Rory. And somehow he found out, which is pretty easy to do because cigarettes stink. But he let me know in a really interesting way just before we were going to bed. And I was like, Tiffany, just zip it, zip your mouth, sleep on it. I slept on it. I got up the next morning. I typed him a note. And that was when I said, this is doing something for me right now. And I have to go with it. If I don't trust myself in how I journey, I don't have stability in my being, the likes of which are necessary for where I'm going right now. And he was so cute. He didn't say anything about the letter I wrote him for about 3 days. And then he just said to me, it's okay if you do it for now. But the point that I wanted to make about it is being able to then do it without hiding it. It just became so much more sublime.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that smoking is not what I want to keep doing, but I also know that there's something significant that's happening with it right now. And the permissions to, while also then not hiding it, that not hiding it piece was like the final key that just clicked it for me in such an extraordinary way.
Yeah. I mean, tobacco is an amazing plant ally.
Mm.
She's
Mm.
very powerful.
Mm.
Yeah. But I think the larger thing is just like that, the practicing extreme self-acceptance.
Mm.
Yeah. That it's just like normalizing following our truth, really.
Mm.
Normalizing following our truth and allowing that to be okay, whatever it is, whether you're smoking cigarettes, whether you're letting go of your team, whether you're, having anxiety, like, all different kinds of things. It's like,
Mm.
to let it be okay to be where you are.
I want to layer another one in there because this is one that I know quite a few women in my circles have been experiencing, which is accepting that they didn't take off with something in the way that they thought that they would. So particularly for people that have come into my sphere in a mentorship capacity with a desire or a goal to create X, Y, and Z or flow a certain amount of money or accomplish something by a certain date. It's never felt right to me to sort of hold someone to that goal, in that kind of accountability way that sort of smacks of you're wrong if you didn't do it or accomplish it in the time frame that you said or in the way that you said. And now several women in my community that have done close work with me, I've watched as they've shifted into this acceptance of exactly where they are, maybe having a job doing something that is not in the spiritual sphere and not what they thought they would be doing now, but actually embracing it. And what I always tell them is like, embrace your badass self in whatever you're doing. Embrace your bold, badass self in whatever you're doing, because that's so magnetic and so beautiful.
Mhm.
When we do that, it's just so extraordinary to witness. And as they do, it's like everything just starts flowing, flowing, flowing. It doesn't mean life is free of challenges, but certainly it unlocks the floodgates that do get particularly locked up when you're not accepting what is.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like it reminds me of this woman that I follow on Instagram, and she lives in Paris, and she was like making this, cute Paris content and stuff, and it was lovely, but then she was like, I got a job. She like, I had to be a, corporate girly. And so, but then she started making all these posts about her corporate job and like how like making it cute, and her 5 to 9 that came after her 9 to 5. And like, it's just like
Mm,
still allowing the creative energy to flow no matter where we are, you know?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, I totally feel that, where
Mm,
it's kind of like we have these grand ideas of like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm gonna, make this course, and I'm gonna, do all this stuff, and it's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna be like one of those people, and then it doesn't sometimes work out, and then it's like that's okay, like,
mm,
but it's also, I think it's also too that to keep the creative channel open.
mm,
Because I also see people where it's like they did like, because it's like, circumstances now are, full on, and people are having to make different decisions. And so deciding to, go and get a regular job when you've been a creative for a long time,
mm,
um, but not letting that stop you from still expressing your creativity in other ways, like
mhm,
keeping. 'Cause there is this thing that can happen where it's like something doesn't work out, and then you kind of retreat and
mhm,
retract, and it's like,
mhm.
"Oh, you know, I was trying to be a coach or something, and then that didn't quite work out, and now I have a regular job, and so now I'm just going to work,"
Yeah,
you
well, it
know?
becomes like it's a personal failing. It becomes experienced as a personal failing, which is just like a heavy dead weight over everything.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, how can I still make art? How can I still create
Mm,
even, from the space of, like, having a 9 to 5 job? It's like,
mhm,
how can I still make my contributions? Like, how can I still, and some people are like, "I don't have energy for that," and it's also like, well, that's because the energy is stuck.
mhm, mhm,
But if you start creating, if you start posting it, like, however it looks, you don't have to post on Instagram, it can be other ways too, but it's
mhm,
like to still let your magic out, right? To still like create from that space to allows the energy to flow, and then more energy comes, and then you'll be surprised what begins to open up in your life.
I could not agree more. I shared that story about how, I wanna share it again because it's significant. I I started a Substack a while ago thinking that I was going to write about the evolution of consciousness and commerce, and connected into our Lumina Guild, not mine and your, but I say our because I have a business partner in the Lumina Guild project. And the Lumina Guild is basically an energetic field that is here to support, enhance creative essence. However, it's my version of let your magic out, how you're speaking about let your magic out. And because I've come to know more and more that the field matters more than content, the field that we place ourselves in. And so I was in that resistance thing with Substack. Like every time I would go to write about this consciousness and commerce stuff, I could feel myself sort of float up into a sort of mosaic of my previous titles and identities in a way that didn't actually feel integrated. I didn't feel down in my body having fun. And so then I kept getting a niggle to post vignettes about my days, some of the little stories about Kiara and I instantly had the noises like, "You're not a mom blogger. What are you doing?" But then I just the niggle kept coming, and I just started one morning. And the process of writing these stories and then sharing the stories unleashed so much energy in me. I mean, it was nearly orgasmic. Like just extraordinary, and it just kept flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. It's a little not flowing right now because we have my sisters in town, but I still feel the energy of it every day, and I'm connected to it. So it proves for me a hypothesis that I've had for a while, which is that at a certain level of development, the thing that's needed next for what we call healing is not anything more about fixing or looking for something broken or trying to figure out a problem in order to get to a solution. It's just simply creating for creation's sake. Just simply creating for creation's sake because it feels good and delights you, not for anyone else, because it feels good and delights you. And then as you do that, that's the medicine, if you will. That's
Mhm.
the integrative, that's the balm, that's the nourishment, and that's the integrative magic dust.
Yeah. 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 I have also heard that echoed in the community where it's like, um, that people are, I mean, and honestly, it's like that's the shift from Chiron and Aries to Chiron and Taurus
Mm,
is that, right? So Chiron and Aries was about healing the self because
mm,
Aries is like I am. It's me, it's the self. Um, and then Chiron and Taurus, it's like, well, what do I value? Like what's really important and what feels good? And the healing of that, where it's like, I don't have an agenda. It's
mm,
just posting or, or creating what feels good for me
mm,
and what I value, right? What's important to me, not thinking about, like, not trying to like put ourselves in someone else's shoes and think like, what would they want?
mhm, mhm,
It's like, what do I want?
mhm,
So much of the time, it's like, I'm really like, "God, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to post about?" Like, what I wait for that, and again, this is also it's a muscle to open up, to be in that kind of trust, um, and also to be in that kind of space of, like, I know I can bring this through easily and efficiently, and it's not gonna, like, take a whole lot of time to be able to create this because that's also where people get blocked is, like, I don't want to be open for, "God, what do you want me to talk about on the internet today?" Because I don't have the time to post about it, you know? So it's kind of like it's a two-part thing about building the muscle of being open to receive whatever the creator wants you to share, but also building up the muscle on a technical side of being able to get it out, being able to just, like, trust yourself to sit down and just be like, whether you're on your phone or your computer, da, 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 speak to text, whatever, but it's just like and letting it be imperfect.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
That, um yeah, it's like the other day, I just happened to have this video. I was in the car, and I was on the way to a dance event, for the solstice, so I had, like, glitter everywhere and, like, like, really just ready to go out for the solstice, and I had this new song, and it was, like, the Like a Prayer remix, and so I was just filming myself in the car singing, and then I noticed how the sun was coming through, and I was like, "This is so," and it was just capturing this moment of joy. I didn't have a
Mm,
plan for it. I didn't know what I was gonna do with that. And then the next morning, it was kind of like, "Okay, like, God, what do you want? What is the channel is open? Like, what do you want me to bring through?" And that post, I woke up the next day, and it was like that post had gone viral, and I was like, "Wow, like, this
mm,
is a thing. Like, women are resonating
mm,
with this." And so then
mm,
I was like, that is actually how I feel, that, like, being and excited and, like, all of that is how I feel about all the women recognizing that they have something to share.
Yes.
Yeah, that like they're about to unleash their voices. And it's not about what do other people want from me. It's like what actually feels good for me. Um, and so
Yes.
I would just started typing in my notes. This is how I feel about all the women with Chiron and Taurus, recognizing that we're all part of this amazing soul group here to unleash our voices and call in our community and align with our purpose. And then I just took screenshots of it from my notes app, put it into my Instagram stories, and then put another screenshot of my Instagram handle and put them together and took a screenshot of that. And then just in the reels, pasted those images on top of that video in different points. And it was just like the most kind of rigged thing you could do. You know, it was like not professional in any kind of sense, but it was just like, and it was done in like 20 minutes. And it was just like,
So cool.
there it is. But like letting it, had a story. I was like, oh, the corners could be rounded. It looks unprofessional. Like I had this kind of story, like it wasn't as beautiful or as professional as it could have been. But I was like, but the message is there. That's the most important thing. So, and every time I watch it, I love it. Like, you know,
Oh, it's so true, isn't it? That phenomena of it. It's like it comes out easeful. It's in the moment. There's not a pre-plan. You don't have expectation, and you love it.
I mean, I honestly think that so much of it, it's like whether you're going back and looking at your own, like, you know, a sales page that you made or a course that you did or an offering that you did, or you're looking at your own Instagram feed, but it's like I watch my stories more than anybody watches my stories.
Mm,
Like I watch my stories probably like 5 or 10 times a day. You know, it's kind of like when you have those moments where you're just bored and you're like, let me scroll. I'm like, let me watch my stories again. Um,
mhm.
it's also about loving what you create and
Yes.
receiving, because that's part of the alchemy too, is that whenever we externalize something, I'm just on this whole like Instagram, you know,
Yeah, it feels good. Like, go for it.
um, but it's that when because we have these pieces inside of us that we don't, it's a comprehension of ourselves and a way of understanding the greatness of who we are, the greater being that is inhabiting us, you know, whether you want
Mm,
to call it God or the universe or whatever. We can't know that part of ourselves fully and completely until we see it in a mirror.
yes.
And so sometimes the mirror is a mirror, but
Mhm,
sometimes the mirror is that you created something and then you get to receive what you created. And
mhm.
so it's really like that video that I posted with the me singing in the car didn't get as many views as other ones or whatever. And so I could have told a story that it didn't perform as well. But every time I watch that, like I fall in love with myself more and more and more. And
Oh, I love that so much.
so this process of getting things out of us and
Mm,
then putting it into this mosaic
mm,
that is, you know, in this case, Instagram, um, it gives us a way to, like, it's self-reflective love that we get to
mm,
experience for ourselves, because we get to see, we have some kind of concept deep within us about the vastness and the greatness and the enormity of all that we are. But we don't often have, unless someone gives us a compliment or, you know, someone acknowledges us in some kind of way, we don't often have a way of appreciating that for ourselves.
mhm.
And I think that that's one of the great gifts that Instagram can give us, is that it's not about doing it for others. It's not about doing it for likes. It's not about doing it for views. It's a place where you get to see the different versions of God that live inside of you.
I love that. And I'll also add that it doesn't have to be Instagram. It could be other platforms, but ones that are public or that are exposed.
Yes.
There is a very, very profound alchemy to that. Oh, I love it so much because everything that you're saying has been also my exact experience with what and how I've been creating. I just like to look at it and see it, and I get so I like feel so good as I receive it. Some of the things that I've written, I can just read them over and over and over again, and it's like the first time each time I read it. It's a very, very particular quality. I love that we ended up talking about this alchemy.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I feel like it's so important for just to bring it back to women going through midlife,
Mm,
that it's like, it really is so important because going through the midlife initiation, whether you know about it astrologically or you just experience it as bodily changes and uncertainty and anxiety and physical symptoms, or relationship changes, it's a very, very discombobulating, uncertain time in one's life.
mm,
Um, and to uh, to have places and ways where you don't know who you are anymore,
mhm,
and that makes you want to kind of withdraw because you're
mm,
like, I don't know who I am, and so I don't feel like I have anything of substance to say. I don't have that golden nugget. um, but that naming that and normalizing that for other women, because it feels like what I'm having the experience of, especially with all of these people commenting about Chiron and Taurus, is that so many women are going through this in silence and in isolation, and they don't realize that there's this huge, huge group of other women who are also feeling that same uncertainty and that same discombobulation and that same anxiety and that same sense of what could be called failure. And to know that they're not alone in that, it just feels like we have to come out. We have to come out of these hiding places and like actually,
mhm.
me too, in a different me too.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. I want to say too, for anyone who's listening who would like to hear more about this sort of dissolution of self, we actually went into that in, I thought, a beautiful way in the first dialogue, so people can access that. Well, it feels like we could go on and on and on, and I'm aware that we'd probably be good to go into summary mode also because I can hear the kids in the bathtub making a ton of noise and they're going to be calling for food shortly. So why don't I'm just going to pause for a minute and see if there's anything I want to add into the conversation. Then we can share things that we have. I think you have something that you want to share that you have coming up.
And I
And
love it. I love it when you do this. This is one of my favorite moments, when you kind of top it up and like see what else is here. You're
yes,
the
I
you're
love it too.
the I love it.
What's coming for me is just this vision of the unleashed voices in the beautiful way that you've been speaking about it, and the I have chills actually right now. The change, the how I'm feeling and seeing the changes is there is such power as we know in numbers. There's power as we know in numbers, and to to have that personal failing syndrome dissolve and recognize, oh, there's others and this is a real thing. And as that's being talked about, and I'm feeling the acceptance and I'm feeling the energy move and I'm feeling inspired by this conversation, and then you're sort of rising up in yourself. But as we're doing that together, there's great power in that. And it's not even what I think is so exceptional about this particular powerful movement is that it's for the self. I don't even feel it, and I don't quite feel resonance with saying the words to change the world anymore. I just want to be more of me, unbridled me, discovering me in each moment. And as I do that and you do that and other women feel permission to do that, it's like, woohoo, here we go, baby. What's going to happen next? I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to knock our socks off. I know it.
Yes. And that is what changes the world.
And that is what changes the world.
Yeah.
Exactly. So extraordinary. All right.
I love it.
Also, let me say a couple of practical things, which are, well, first of all, I love you. And I'm so happy to be doing it. And to anyone that's joined us, thank you for being here. It's extraordinary. It's an honor. We're also going to have one more dialogue next week connected to this. So same time and place. So stay tuned, share it with others. And one of the things that I have going on right now that I absolutely love, I don't think I can post the link, but it's called Windows of the Sky, Fragrant Gates Between Heaven and Earth. And I actually don't want to give more details. I just want it to feel mystically alluring. And if it's sort of sparking something in you, you can go to my Instagram and click on the links and you'll see a link up at the top for it. It doesn't start until September, but it would be a beautiful kind of movement of energy within yourself if you felt called to it now and you decided to register. And you.
Oh, I love that. That sounds so mystical and beautiful. So I have a new course I'm so excited about. It's called Let Your Magic Out. And it is taking my past history of 5 years of sitting with women, guiding them through posting on Instagram, letting their magic out, sharing authentically, and really like self-acceptance and self-love by using Instagram as a tool for personal transformation and spiritual awakening. And then bringing that through those two courses of the energetics of Instagram and Insta Prosperity, now through the work that I've been doing through cyclical living for mystical women, walking with women through the midlife initiation from an astrological perspective of these are the different, initiations that we go through. This is how it feels. This is, to know that you're not alone. And so to marry the two, and what that is for me is this deep self-healing and acceptance, because I had come to a place where I was like kind of cringe about who I was back in, from 2016 to 2019, and felt like, oh, now I have matured and now she's so naive and she was too energetic and like too much of a, trying to be a manifesting generator. And it was like, and so now it's like bringing her back and being like, no, I really love her enthusiasm and I really love her boldness, and her courage, and to bring that in with the tempered version of me now who has, gone through the failures of the midlife and walked through those dissolving moments and walked through those moments of transformation and then, emerging on the other side of like, and I do have this wisdom, like as an astrologer and as a woman who has walked this path before, and to help other women to use Instagram as a tool to find their voices, to align more and more with their purpose, because that's part of what the Uranus opposition in the midlife awakening is. It's like you have to step into your dharma. Like that's part of what that initiation is. And so unleashing your voice, aligning with your purpose, and finding your community, calling in your soul group. Like that's what we're doing inside Let Your Magic Out. And that's what happens when you let your magic out.
Oh, it sounds so good. When is it starting?
So we start together on July 15th. Doors close on July 14th. Right now, early bird pricing is open. You can save $200. And the early bird pricing ends on July 1st.
Oh, so fabulous. So
Thank you.
fabulous. Oh,
Thank you.
I feel it. Oh my gosh. I'm having all kinds of ideas. We'll talk later.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Does that feel like a good ending place for you?
Yeah. yeah, just say thank you so much to everyone who is
Mm,
listening. And yeah, apologies it didn't work to go live on my Instagram, but
mm,
she's gonna add me as the collaborator, and you can hear it that way. But trusting that that was exactly what meant to happen. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Raquel. I'm going to hit end stream. Thank you all.